Hi, my name is Rebecca Weber, and I am presenting on my behavior change project. I had the opportunity during this project to work with Jane, who is a female 8-year-old diagnosed with ASD. She currently lives at home with her biological mother, father, and younger sister. She also attends public school and is in a self-contained autism classroom. The target behavior was Jane appropriately transitioning from preferred to non-preferred activities, and this was defined as Jane standing up onto her feet with her legs straight and walking by moving her legs back and forth and her body moving in a forward motion and her hands at her side, absent of crying with audible sounds and visual tears, and sitting down with her backside against the learning chair, feet on the ground, hands in her lap. Her initial response of standing up should occur within 3 to 5 seconds, and her complete response should occur within 15 to 20 seconds of a verbal instruction of "come here." The measurement used was a discrete trial data sheet based on occurrence and non-occurrence of the target behavior. I chose this measurement system because the current therapists were already fluent with this data collection, and based on the ease of data collection, it's easy to take it in real time, thus increasing the accuracy of this data. The design used was a changing criterion design with one subject. Through successive phases, the criteria to gain access to reinforcement was raised to promote my client's increased success in transitioning. The design was selected to target the behavior because the behavior was likely non-reversible, and because of the aggressive nature of this behavior, reversing it would be unethical. Prior to implementing any new intervention phase, I trained the therapist and provided feedback based on their implementation of that treatment phase. The baseline was collected by myself and a therapist from September 28th to October 7th, so across 5 separate sessions. During each session, 20 occasions or 20 opportunities were provided. The therapist or myself was sitting at the teaching table, and we had non-preferred stimuli present, so cards or worksheets, and preferred items were not present. Jane was engaged in a preferred activity such as her iPad or toys, and we delivered the verbal instruction of "come here." During occurrences during the baseline assessment, we would provide Jane with verbal reinforcement, so "thank you" or "good job, Jane," and then let her leave the teaching area. During non-occurrences, we provide an informational "no," and then have a 5-minute period absent of verbal instructions or informational no's in between non-occurrence trials. So the data collected for the baseline was also alternated between myself and the therapist. During the treatment phases, general treatment requirements were that the observer would provide a verbal instruction, "come here," at the beginning of each trial. Non-occurrences resulted in a verbal informational "no," and the redelivery of the verbal instruction. No more than 2 non-occurrences were to be provided prior to implementing a prompted occurrence, and this is where a prompt was provided paired with the verbal instruction. During the treatment intervention condition number 1, Jane was required to transition from the teaching area independently, regardless of interfering behaviors that occurred. And for occurrences of this, Jane was immediately, within 2 to 3 seconds of a response, provided with praise and a tangible reinforcement. Out of 10 options, the tangible reinforcers were selected based on parent reports of preferences. If Jane did not transition upon the second opportunity, a prompted response was provided. Intervention condition number 2, Jane was required to transition from the teaching area absent of the interfering behavior of hitting with an open hand. If Jane did transition with that behavior, the differential reinforcement was provided, so we would say that's pretty good, and we would not provide a tangible reinforcement. Additionally, descriptive feedback such as "that's pretty good" or "you need to transition with nice cool hands to get your toy" was provided. And positive practice was implemented, requiring Jane to repeat that trial until she got an independent correct absent of hitting. Intervention condition 3 required Jane to transition absent of hitting and crying. All of the requirements from condition 1 remained in condition 3, so we had contingent reinforcement, differential reinforcement, and positive practice for non-occurrences. The intervention phases were different than the baseline based on the consequence that occurred contingent on the target behavior. And data collected was provided based on a discrete trial data sheet that consisted of corrects, incorrects, and prompts, and an average of occurrences. So an IOA was also collected during treatment phases, and this was where both mom and the therapist would simultaneously collect data, and they were independent of each other, so they did not have the opportunity to see or hear how each other recorded the data. And this was collected minimally 2 times per treatment condition. The results indicate that during the baseline phase, Jane had very low responding, ranging from 0 to 5. And during intervention phase 1, her responding was initially low, but then she had an upward trend. And during intervention phase 2, she did have a drop in behavior, but then once again an upward trend of behavior. And during the last treatment condition, she had the highest response of behavior. This indicates that there is a functional relationship between the treatment conditions and Jane's transitioning behavior. Generalization is essential in any therapy, so mom was required to participate within this therapy, and additional training was provided to the parents on the strategies that were used within the intervention post-intervention, thus ensuring that mom can continue these strategies and provide the generalization and maintenance required for this skill. It is determined that reactive strategies can be beneficial in transitioning children with ASD. It's very consistent with the current research, and differential reinforcement, positive practice over correction, and contingent reinforcements have all shown a reduction in problematic behavior. The consequence of the results of the consequence-based strategies have been successful for this intervention. Because of internal and external validity threats to the study, future studies may be done using a multiple participants and a alternating treatment design to eliminate the validity threats. Future work with Jane is also being provided currently. Thank you.